Well, this week in censorship, a lot happened. Donald Trump Jr. was suspended from Twitter for sharing a video of another press conference held by doctors talking about hydroxychloroquine and suggesting that the schools reopen in the fall. The president retweeted the video, which was then also promptly censored from his feed. Also, the CEOs of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google all testified remotely because of the coronavirus at a hearing about their monopolistic practices on Capitol Hill. Thankfully, a handful of Republicans brought up censorship, but unfortunately, most members of Congress, like Wisconsin's Jim Sensenbrenner, don't know what the heck they're talking about. Here he is asking Mark Zuckerberg what Twitter is doing.
It was reported that Donald Trump Jr. got taken down for a period of time because he put something up on the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine. Now, I wouldn't take it myself, but there still is a debate on whether it is effective either in treating or preventing COVID-19. And I think that this is a legitimate matter of discussion, and it would be up to a patient and their doctor to determine whether hydroxychloroquine was the correct medication, given the circumstances. Why did that happen?
Congressman, well, first, to be clear, I think what you might be referring to happened on Twitter, so it's hard for me to speak to that, but I can talk to our policies about this.
Well, Congressman, at least you tried. Later, Mark Zuckerberg revealed that Facebook's algorithms remove 89% of posts that hurt liberals' feelings before they even actually read them.
We're very focused on fighting against election interference. And we're also very focused on fighting against hate speech, and our commitments to those issues and fighting them go back years before this recent movement. In terms of fighting hate, we've built really sophisticated systems. Our goal is to identify it before anyone even sees it on the platform. And we've built AI systems and, as I mentioned, have tens of thousands of people working on safety and security with the goal of getting this stuff down so that way before people even see it. And right now, we're able to proactively identify 89% of the hate speech that we take down before I think it's even seen by other people. So, I want to do better than 89%. I'd like to get that to 99%. But
I'd like to get that to 99%. Let's not forget that the algorithm automatically took down the Declaration of Independence after it was posted by a small local newspaper to celebrate the 4th of July. There's a word in there about Native Americans that's on the blacklist, and that literally automatically triggered its deletion. Thankfully, Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan were there, but there's a new kid on the block we should all befriend. Freshman Greg Stubbe from Florida.
Yesterday I was sent a YouTube video about doctors discussing hydrochloroquine and discussing the not dangers of children returning to school. And when I clicked on the link, it was taken down. And then I was sent a different link on YouTube and it was taken down. I just checked again just to make sure. And it says that this video has been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines. How can doctors giving their opinion on a drug that they think is effective for the treatment of COVID-19 and doctors who think it's appropriate for children to return back to school violate YouTube's community guidelines?
Congressman, we believe in freedom of expression, and there is a lot of debate on YouTube about effective ways to deal with COVID. We allow robust debate, but in the area during a pandemic, we look to local health authorities. So, for example, in the U.S., it would be CDC.
Finally, a member of Congress is paying attention to YouTube. I'm going to have to reach out to the congressman and see if he'll come on the show. Then Jim Jordan went off about cancel culture.
It's something I'm not all the way up to speed on, but if you're talking about where somebody with a different point of view talks and they're canceled, I don't think that's good. I think it's good for people to hear different points of view and decide for themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to just reference a letter. Barry Weiss, who resigned as an editor at the New York Times, she wrote a letter explaining why she resigned. And I'll just read 3 sentences for all of you, actually. She says, first of all, my own forays into wrongthink made me the subject of constant bullying by my colleagues who disagree with my views. She then says later in the letter, everyone lives in fear of the digital Thunderdome. The online venom is excused so long as it is directed at the proper targets. And those targets aren't just conservative. In fact, Ms. Weiss is actually center-left. She's not conservative. The targets are anyone who disagrees with the mob. Are the rest of you concerned about the cancel culture mob and what it's up to? Mr. Pichai?
Congressman, I'm sorry, I had momentary difficulty hearing. But, you know, we've built platforms which allow for freedom of expression, and we take pride in the fact that across our platforms, including YouTube, there are more diverse voices than ever before. It is something we are committed to.
I'm just saying, I'm concerned about it.
That's hilarious, Sundar. More diverse voices on YouTube than ever before. This when the platform has been banning a record number of people over the last 30 days. Then Tim Cook lied under oath about how accessible Apple's App Store is to developers.
What we've done is open the gate wider. We want to get every app we can on the store, not keep them off.
Oh, really? Is that why you don't allow the InfoWars app or Gab?
You have no place on our platforms. You have no home here.
Despite Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos being in attendance and under oath, nobody decided to ask him why for the last 2 years they've been banning books. To be fair, Jim Jordan did mention in passing that they had banned a book about the coronavirus, but there are other books that have been banned too that you're not supposed to mention. But they do their best to make sure that LGBT children's books like Santa's Husband are in stock and ready to ship. Congressman Matt Gaetz raised some good points about Google manipulating the search results, showing that Sundar Pichai had committed perjury in the past, but of course, he won't be charged.
On December 11th, you testified to the Judiciary Committee, and in response to a question from my colleague Zoe Lofgren about search, you said, "We don't manually intervene on any particular search result." But leaked memos obtained by the Daily Caller show that that isn't true. In fact, those memos were altered December 3rd, just a week before your testimony, and they describe a deceptive news blacklist and a process for developing that blacklist approved by Ben Gomes, who leads search with your company, and also something called a fringe ranking, which seems to beg the question, who gets to decide what's fringe? And in your answer, you said to Ms. Lofgren that there is no manual intervention of search. That was your testimony, and now I'm going to cite specifically from this memo from the Daily Caller. It says, that the Daily Caller obtained from your company. It says, the beginning of the workflow starts when a website is placed on a watch list. It continues, this watch list is maintained and stored by Eris with access restricted to policy and enforcement specialists. Sort of does beg the question who these enforcement specialists are. Access to the listing can also be shared on a need-to-know basis to enforce or enrich the policy violations. The investigation of the watch list is done in the tool Athena, the Ares manual review tool. So you said to Congresswoman Lofgren that there was no manual review tool, and then your documents indicate that there is a manual review tool. So help us understand the inconsistency.
Of course, Democrats didn't like any good questions being raised.
The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Pennsylvania, Ms. Scanlon.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to redirect your attention to antitrust law rather than fringe conspiracy theories. Mr. Bezos, our investigation...
Mr. Chairman, we have the email. There is no fringe...
Excuse me.
It's not your time.
Mr. Jordan, you do not have the time. Please be respectful of your
colleague.
colleague. She controls the time.
Put your mask on. Put your mask on.
Mr.
Raskin,
Mr. Jordan,
you want to talk about masks?
Mr. Jordan, Ms. Scanlon.
Why would the Deputy Secretary of Treasury unmask Michael Flynn's name, Mr. Raskin? And what I want to know is, when someone comes after my motives for asking questions, I get a chance to respond.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Unfortunately, nobody asked why YouTube took down the promotional video of the heel light and is censoring potential scientific innovations. Or Rand Paul's video speaking on the Senate floor when he happened to mention the supposed whistleblower's name. Of course, YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki wasn't there to testify because members of Congress are so out of touch, they don't even know she exists. It's time we start calling the offices of our members of Congress and help educate them about what's going on instead of just tweeting about it or posting on Facebook. Oh, and by the way, you can get 10% off anything from my online store through Saturday if you use the promo code HOTFLASH10 at the checkout. So if you live in an area that is mandated you wear masks and you want to spread the word about another sickness going around, I recommend picking up my new Liberalism Find a Cure mask. Or you can get my new Cops Lives Matter shirt. The classic contains facts and opinions some may find offensive, or any of my awesome designs. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below, enter the promo code HOTFLASH10 at the checkout, and check them out!